Yes, yes, yes. What's a BPM? Welcome back. Got a bit of a throwback podcast. This one originally was recorded with audio only with one of my true heroes of the scene, Tall Paul. It was a real honor to sit across from one of your heroes and interview him and talk to him about music. It was so cool. So this was episode 14, was audio only, but I've trawled the internet for some unseen footage and photos. So throughout the podcast, keep watching because there's some cracking clips that I've put in there. Also, while I'm at it, can you please hit that subscribe button for me if you're watching? I'm so close to 500 now, which is a bit of a spin out. But yeah, if you could hit that subscribe button, do me a real big favor. Anyway, enjoy the podcast with the legend, Tall Paul. Okay, welcome to the podcast, Tall Paul. Thanks for sitting down and having a chat with me, mate.
No worries, mate.
We're sat in the hotel lobby of your hotel in Brisbane. You're about to play the Candy Flip event tonight on the Friday night, and on the Sunday you've got the show up the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, and then we've got a big one in Melbourne tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a big sort of classical orchestra event as well.
Also, you go from Brisbane to Melbourne, then back to Queensland again. Oh, loads of flying.
It's not as bad as some of the schedules that have been here covering. You know, Perth isn't in this one. As much as I love that place, it throws you out a bit having to.
It's a long flight.
Get there, you know, and if it's a day thing, you've got to get there early and the time difference, and yeah. But you know, I'm glad to be back, man. Glad to be asked back, and I had loads of fun here last year. Last year.
That was for the Testament.
Show, yeah.
They're hugely popular. Hey.
Yeah, I think the one that we done was a sort of step up to see, right, you know, is this going to work? Are people going to come out? Is this something that people want to relive, support, listen to that sound? And it seemed to go beyond the expectations. And so, yeah.
Best era of music. That's why. So good, hey. I went to the recent Testament show in Brisbane where it was, I think it was Seb Fontaine, Danny Rand playing Jules, and then I think that was
Oki was Oki.
No,
he
wasn't. He wasn't.
He was crisscrossing the other. Yeah.
But we were
the next one. Sorry, yeah.
We were saying that you would have been getting heaps of royalties because nearly everyone played a version of Commisera, you know, on the night. But man,
there's a few out there.
It got the same response every time it dropped. The place went bananas.
It's like the best two notes in the world, you know. I mean, you know, I'm not taking any credit. I just put together a sort of more beefier, faster version.
Yeah,
that was needed at the time, and it's just one of those ones that's stuck.
Just keeps going.
Just keeps doing the same, you know, almost got rediscovered about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
By a whole new generation
yeah.
of DJs who were looking back at that era for inspiration and, you know, the fun times and the craziness of that era and doing their own little version, sprinkling their own little style on it. And certain records were brought back around, and Commisera was certainly one of them.
I've even seen Fisher.
Yeah, he's done a version.
Yeah.
Fisher's done a version. Yeah, he sent it over.
It's like a whole, like
broke it down, sort of roared it up.
It's just got a whole new life again. Kept going.
Yeah. Look, as I said, mate, I never expected it. It just, every 10 years it comes back. People enjoy it. I don't know, man. It just connects. You know, one of those things you can never tell in the studio. You sort of know it's going to work, but to what extent and how long it will work for, you never know.
Yeah, it's one of them things. I guess if you knew, everyone would be a banger.
But if you knew, you'd be the top producer that everyone wants. You know, you just have that that studio life when you make a track you think's great, think this is the best thing I've ever made, I'm so proud of it, just doesn't, and it might not connect, and then you knock up a few samples and chuck it out there, and it's the one everyone wants to hear again. It's almost the public decide. The crowd will come together, and I don't even if they know what they're doing, but they collectively give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Yeah.
And they don't even know they're doing it, but it's
they vote.
People
with
in a
their feet.
room create something,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
All outside.
I mean, we've got to sort of go back to tell your full story. Your dad must have been a massive influence on your life. Also your brother. So I guess if we can talk about sort of when you first started DJing and how term mills come about, sort of the beginnings.
Oh, where do we start from? Okay, let's. So back in the back when I was 3 or 4 years old, no, actually a bit later than that, 5 or 6. My family was in the print, newspaper delivery, logistics, getting papers to the right places in the UK, and with that, I suppose came connections with people that had what we call news agents, where people used to buy newspapers, cigarettes, magazines, chocolate, drinks, the whole works. And so my uncle ended up having a shop. My other uncle ended up having a help, as well as distributing the papers. In this case, it was the Daily Express and the Evening Standard, and that's back when papers were the knowledge. Papers were the information, especially for sport. So the evening paper would be for all the daily sports, the horse racing, for instance. So if there was no TV as such, and the radio was, if you could get one or afford one. So anyway, the papers were a big deal. Anyway, so my family was working on that, and they also bought into news agents as well. So anyway, my dad ended up having a news agent in a place called Tottenham Court Road, next to Rathbone Street and Tottenham Court Road. And
this is London, hey?
This is London, central London, just off Oxford Street, Soho, around that area.
Oh, yeah.
And he sort of drifted more into the shop business. It was going well. It expanded. And opposite the news agent was a record shop that he bought into as well, and was running the sort of businesses back and forth. Literally just across the road was the record shop. Then we had the news agent. So from an early age, getting to this point, that there was music, there was records coming into the house a lot. My dad loved music. Part of having these businesses, even the news agent had to have the best music around. So, we used to record it on a tape, a collection, almost like a compilation that he would compile, and people would ask for it. What's this track? Where can I get this? It's not in the shops. Agency. Yeah, literally
cool.
Playing his own compilation of music that he would record at our house on his little, this turntable that was the Bang & Olufsen of its time, with the little weights, and it had to be certainly adjusted, and we weren't allowed to touch it, look at it even. It was this perfect little setup in the front room that we were barred from, but it was always, when he was out, we'd always try to jump in there and play these records and hear this music. So that was where I found the music fascinating, and new music, and then I was just relying on my dad to bring home the records, and it rubbed off on me and my brother, my younger brother Dan. And then jumping forward, he sold that business. Underneath was a storage area underneath the shop that he turned into a wine bar, a members only wine bar. And we had people like Billy Connolly was a member, Richard Branson was a member, because you could go in there for a drink, a meeting, and if you had a membership license, you could open during the afternoon. It sounds ridiculous now, but you had to shut at 2:30 back then. People were, you couldn't drink all afternoon if you were out in a pub. That place had to be empty by 3:00. Then you could reopen at 5:30. But to encourage people to go back to work, that was the law, and it was strict. You got into serious trouble. Anyway, because we had a members license and we could serve food, we had this sort of little drinking spieler, dark underneath, leather, settees and sofas and cigar smoke. And so that's when my dad got a bit of a taste for that business, liked it, and then got to know some people in the brewery business, the distribution of alcohol. And the breweries were quite a big deal back then. They had thousands between them of different pubs across the UK. One in particular said to my dad, "Look, we've got this venue. It's an old live venue. It's run down. You can have it. Obviously, you've got to sell their beers and booze in it, but you can have it for nothing. See if you can get it going." And who knows? So he jumped into that, left the newsagent and the bar behind, sold that, jumped into this pub called the George Robey in a place called Finsbury Park, very Irish area. So we had lots of Irish bands in there, turned it round. We had the Pogues in there, early doors before they really hit the big time. Christy Moore, all these sort of typical London Irish popular bands. And then from that was successful. And then the brewery said, "Right, we've got some money for you if you want. We'll give you a real cheap loan. It might be at zero interest almost. And you can start the wine bar," which is what he liked. The pub was okay, but it was a bit wild. So he wanted to do a bigger version of the wine bar that he had. And that was Turnmills.
Oh, okay.
Now, Turnmills was a lunchtime trade only. Night, we didn't even open at night. We opened on a Friday for the locals. Saturday, it was dead. It was, it's a city area. During Monday to Friday, it's hustle or bustle.
Yep.
At the weekend, it was quiet. So as far as a nightclub, not in the least interested, wasn't on the horizon, had no intention, because we were doing all right lunchtimes. It was that was packed out. There was money around. People would come in with company credit cards, 20 people, 30 people, whatever they want, food, drink. This is the era of early 80s. People would come in and have a bottle of wine and 4 pints and, go back to work. And
At lunch,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Mental.
Yeah.
That pub he had in Finsbury Park before that, you get all the navvies in there, all the site workers.
Yeah.
They would be on 4 or 5 pints. And then they come in again in the evening after the building session and have another 5. I just sit there going, Mike, what the Guinness?
Heavy drinking, yeah.
Just boozers, man.
Yeah.
So move forward. Had a good run for 3 or 4 years. Big credit crunch happened in the UK. Really affected London, affected all our customers. And this is 88. This is early 88. And then there was this movement happening on the other side of music.
Was you aware
which
of
I
that?
was into? God, what was I? Yeah. I mean, I was the kid on the bus going to school with the headphones on. I used to tape all the radio shows, listen to Pirates, and just, flip through the dial, finding music on radio shows and listening to stuff. So I consider myself quite ahead of the game.
Yeah. Wasn't
mainstream. When the club, before we went into a nightclub, when it's still a wine bar, our Friday night was a sort of a late night that was for our locals, like I mentioned. So I used to play music there. So I had to have a collection of music that I could play that people would sort of, dance to. And it was on our shitty little Citronic double deck system with 2 little Bose speakers as our dance floor. And it seemed to work for 200-300 people. And come 1:30, 2 o'clock, we were all done, and that was it. So I was starting to learn the profession from that age, 15, 16 years old.
Kind of
and
like
I had the records
doing your apprenticeship.
Oh God, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a proper apprenticeship. You're dealing with all sorts of requests, chart stuff that's going to work on the floor, stuff that doesn't, stuff that's popular. Yeah, and I was getting out there and buying this shit. Had to have it.
Yeah,
and not just the 7-inch version. Everything had to be like a 12-inch, where I mean a sort of extended version, because it's much more club friendly. Nice big intro, nice big outro. I couldn't even attempt to mix on them decks. They were just so.
I was just going to say, were you mixing then, or just?
Well, you need to try, but it was just a sort of chop between the ending and then bang one, and then finally we got the the Technics 1200s turned up like a birthday present, like a fucking, you know,
Yeah.
2 boxes from the DJ heaven landed, thank Christ. So once they got in there, then I was never off them. You know, I was just.
So was you on to your dad like, we've got to get these Technics
man, all the
there,
time.
we have
I
to
said,
get
these fucking things are shit.
Yeah.
Snap, you know, they used to have like elastic band underneath them, snapping and coming off the rotor and you know, lifting it up and putting this thing back on and putting the lid back, you know, the metal, and then all this while, you know, there's people dancing and they were awful, you know. But you know, once we got that late license to get any other DJ down there, we had to have at minimum the right gear, and that was a minimum requirement almost to have a late night. So then the crunch hit us. And then we got this late license. My dad managed to get somehow a 24-hour music and dance license. Didn't exist. Wasn't one before. We got it first, almost as a trial.
So you could serve alcohol?
No.
Okay.
Only music and dance. Okay. No alcohol license. Yep. Alcohol was up to 1:30, 1:45, and then.
But you could keep going.
Yeah, because this is the time, remember, when there was such a demand for it, for this craze, this music, this experience. You know, they're all illegal. They're all warehouses or farmlands or in the middle of some car park. And, you know, they had a good summer in '88, but then it started to be problematic. The police didn't like it. You know, people were getting told lies about what the party was about, and then it was out of control and the police didn't like it. And then there was, you know, a couple of problems with the drugs and people going over.
You know, back in the days, no social media. How were you finding out that these things were happening? Was it in the papers or on the radio or through pirate radio?
Talking about the raves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, pirate was a big, big thing. You would go to all the record shops, there'd be flyers. You come outside of a nightclub, there'd be, there'd be 20 people outside of a nightclub. Flyers coming out, you know. So then word of mouth, you know, you're on the phone, check this out. I mean, there used to be a little wave of club raves where you would only know 2 or 3 hours before. You'd have to ring up a number that they would give out on the day. Ring this up, instructions on this number, see you there. Because the police were trying to shut it down. That's what it got to towards the end of that era. And then, you know, the police got wise to it, shut it down, and people got pissed off and paid a lot of money for these tickets and blah, blah, blah. And so sort of, you know, by 1989, it was pretty much done. And then there was this new law that came out about repetitive beats and people congregating, you know, and everyone went nuts about it. In the meantime, they're trying to put it back into clubs. And that's where we benefited from that, you know, almost the fear of the outdoors of all our young kids going nuts. Let's get it into a licensed venue, or at least there's security in there. There's trouble, or there's a doctor, you know, like a nurse in there if someone has a problem, and it's a licensed venue and it's not a. So yeah, we benefited for that.
So that you started running the raves in, was it?
We had a couple of So when we got that license, you know, our lives changed upside down. You know, and there's no more lunchtime trade, even though there was a small. It was nothing like it was, you know, the 2 years previous. And, you know, we went all out. Well, once that license was acquired, people were queuing up to do nights in there. So it took a few months, or probably 9 months actually, to find the right crowd for that venue. You know, we didn't want to get that license and have police down there all the time, you know, with incidences and different firms coming down from North London and South London and East London and West London. Because what was happening, it became like an after hours end up. You know, people already had a night out and already drinking and in the mood, and they come down there and, you know, so it wasn't ideal.
How many people could it hold?
About 1,500 at you know, a good push. And we could always open up a couple of other units. You know, but a couple of times we had like 4,000 people in there where they had said to us it was a video shoot, and it wasn't. It was a rave. Shut down rave that needed somewhere last minute, and it was all, you know. So my dad got hoodwinked a few times. So then we had to be really careful because, you know, the police brought us in and rapped us over the knuckles a couple of times. So look, you're going to lose this as quick as you've got it.
Got to start.
But
there was no
rule book, blueprint. There was no one saying, look, hey, this is how you do it. There wasn't. This is us. This is the first one. So yeah, it was tough. And then it settled down. We had a night started called Trade on the Saturday night, well, Sunday morning really, and that went boom straight away. Really cool night, great music, great crowd, and then I ended up playing there as a regular, as well as doing the Friday as well.
Okay, so what was you playing on a Friday night?
So Friday would start off. We were still playing a mixture of. I'd say American R&B, import, early stuff, soul, funk, but all very danceable. Yeah. And then it would go a bit, and it would start sort of progressing a bit, and then you'd have like a little house music section back then, because there wasn't that many tunes that you could slip into a set like that. You couldn't start playing, Joan Atkins or something, some early every techno. It would no. But you could play, like Voodoo Ray or Strings of Life, and something that was you could just slip in there. And that's what I was desperate to do, just get
pushing it,
spread the word of this crazy music that's having such an impact with me and all my friends, and slip it into the set, and mixed right, and still, looking after the floor, the dance floor, not clearing it just because I want to play some, it's that balance all the time.
And then Trade, you were on last, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Trade started at 3 a.m. and went through till 9:30, and then it was so popular. They were like, "Let's go later," and it went to 10, and then 10:30, and then 11. So I used to play 10 to 11 initially, and then it got pushed back and went later and later, and then we ended up going till 1, and that's where we sort of draw a line on it. It's like, look.
1 after lunch, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, lunchtime.
1 p.m.
Yeah. And can you imagine kicking out 2,000 sweaty queens in the middle of a 1 o'clock after, in a Sunday somewhere?
That's what I'm thinking when they're
right next to an Italian church was like a quarter of a mile up the road. So Sunday, if you were Italian in London, that was the place. If you could afford it, to get married there. And then we see these processions, all these people come, and you're like, oh my God,
shirtless, like
just half naked dudes, yeah. Well, it was such a mixed crowd Trade. It was, it was I'd say it was more fashion. It wasn't it was a gay night. I think it was bigger than that. It was a colourful, let your hair down, wear what you want, wear not what you want, And it was like a real fun, fashion-y crowd. Yeah.
And so what period in time was that? Like early
1991.
Okay. At this point, you're DJing on pirate radio as well?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. We started, pirate was about 1990. Had various sort of guises where it came on, and it was just a small little community. And then one day, we all got together and someone said, right, I know the person that builds the rigs, the box 4. Can't think how we found this guy, but he was the guy that used to build all the pirates, what we call the rig, which is the box that sends the signal. You play your music, it goes through the amp goes to this box, then it goes up to the aerial, and then it chucks it out, and then the bigger the rig, the more power the rig, the better the signal. The higher you could get the aerial, the better the signal. So we lived in a place called Swiss Cottage, or just down the road from a place called Swiss Cottage, and had these 4 massive tower blocks. And one of the friends of a friend who became one of the DJs on there had he was a caretaker, and he had all these keys that could fit all these doors, like the fire brigade only would have, and him.
Like a skeleton key.
Exactly like that. Yeah, skeleton key, and he could just, and so he got us on the roof. We put the aerial up there, and then we were on. And
you got to be so passionate about the music to be doing stuff like that.
We were. That was it. We were so passionate, and we were all off the same page, and it just made so much sense to us, and we devoted a lot of time to it. And then it worked. The phones were going off the hook. You were connecting with people. and it was quite addictive.
Yeah.
Ringing up the shows and which show had the most phone calls and the shouts, and you'd be giving out messages and then you get regular listeners and then we were getting advertising for local. You know, the word was spreading.
Yeah.
Because we were playing stuff, and we had some we had some sort of what we were called working DJs with the gear, doing weddings and making money that way, a bit extra at the weekend. One, you had to have the records. Two, you had to have all the equipment. Three, you had to have the van that could take all the speakers and everything.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And there was 3 or 4 of these guys from near where I lived that had all that equipment between them, and they were doing it to make extra money. But they liked, the music, the house music that was coming through. So we had this sort of collective team of about 6, 7 people, and we just went all in, and it was absolutely great. One of my favorite times, man, to be alive.
Really?
That was so cool.
Did any of your friends from that period that you were doing the pirate radio with, did any of them like create careers from this full time or?
Well, I suppose our claim to fame, we had Goldie on the radio, not for very long, but he lived in the area. In fact, we had one of the rig in his flat. He lived in one of them tower blocks. And, but other than him, yeah, not really. It was very local.
Goldie.
I mean, there were DJs, and these guys were working, a lot of them every week, and some would have club regulars, and they were doing. But I suppose, did they any international? Did they take it? Did they make music? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
I don't know, because they all had jobs, girlfriends and wives and kids, and it was a hobby that they could only push so far without
quitting their day job.
Quit that, and I'm going to go for this. Plus, making music back then was an expensive thing to do.
I was going to ask you about your first release because I wasn't under Tall Paul. It was it Dectician?
That's right. So that was the name. So we all had names on the radio because the DTI were the governing body of the airwaves, the Department of Trade and Industry. And they only had one little fellow, or maybe two, this little office that they would go around once a month and shut these pirates down. And as it got more and more serious, the team got bigger and the powers got more. And so they could confiscate your records. They could confiscate the gear. They could confiscate your car.
And
it started to get like, well, and we had some sort of local loonies that had from like these heavy estates that didn't think not twice about smashing the police car up if they could, they were just a bit wild, but still on the tip of the music and loved the music and had their own little shows and stuff. So the fear that they could come along and take your shit if they really wanted you. They usually just find out where the block is, cut your cables, bend the aerials, and then if you were ready to go, you had spare rigs in the background, you could get on there quite quick. As long as you didn't take the piss, they would give you a bit of a leeway and get round to you later on. But then it just, so the point being, no, we didn't really have our own names on there. No one really wanted to have, your personal shit details.
Yeah.
These guys could start cocking in. So everyone had DJ names, on the station anyway. So yeah, I just kept that name for the first track. I was doing I could scratch and mix and do all that hip hop stuff because I used to practice on the decks at the club years and years, and emulate these Public Enemy records and Run DMC and all these Shaka Khan. I just used to practice until I could do that. So yeah.
So that was what you were doing on the what was the radio show called?
Well, we started off with one called CLR, Central London Radio 105.8, and then we went because we were a bit. So if you've got the sort of the bandwidth of the FM dial, you would have sort of 85, I think, is down the bottom. Then you'd have 105, 106, 107 right at the top. But sometimes you would drift into other people's signals, and we were we were drifting into like a gas board emergency signal. So, you know, these people, there'd be a problem with, you know, I can smell gas somewhere. And then they would hear like, hey, doing house music. I go, what's the fuck's going on here? Where's this gas leak? It's like, big shout going out to Dave and all these mates. So we had to get out of there. So we ended up on 94.1 and it was Touchdown FM.
Touchdown FM.
Touchdown. Cool. Yeah. And we had a real good run. We had about 9-10 months without getting touched, you know, and then they just came after us and, you know, they just shut you down by way of, and these rigs were quite expensive to buy. They keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you, and then
afford to keep
after a while, and everyone's got to put money in, and you know, and then had a couple of close calls with a car chase and records getting confiscated in it. Oh, bloody hell!
So the first release under the name Dectician, I'm sure I read somewhere that you just got some, like an engineer's number out of a phone book or a magazine.
I think it was out of a magazine. The back of my Music Week, for instance, would have all these adverts for, you know, studio, if you need a studio for a day, and I'm producers and just trying to earn hustle a few extra bucks. And it was up in Milton Keynes, I remember, which is about a good hour drive up north from London. And I was playing trade at the time, and I had some 2 ideas for 2 tracks, you know, and I'd done pretty much rock solid, all just samples of other records and just the way I was hearing music being made in the early days of what I suppose it was called hardcore back then. It was pre-drum and bass. It was where it was heading, but it wasn't there yet. It was like very rave.
Yeah.
Early Prodigy, let's say, you know, really early Prodigy, Your Love. Yeah, some have had a little breaky beat sort of style to it as well. 0B, Lock Up, that was a massive sort of crossover like track from, like, you play that at trade, but then you'd hear that in a massive rave.
Yeah.
Because I had that music and I like the more houseier beats, not so much the breaky beat stuff. The first track was a sort of breaky beat with a sample from Public Enemy. It sounded very hardcore, that sort of sound. But then the other side was a bit more housey and a piano-y, uplifting, more for trade, let's say. And that was the one that caught.
What was that called?
That was called Love Rush.
Love Rush. So Dectician Love Rush. Is that on YouTube or anywhere?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was on Trade Records. It was on, the white. So I just basically pressed up 500 white labels. You know, I saved up some money. I thought, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make a track. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make a track, get it mastered. Just got busy and pressed up some copies and walked into record shops
and just sold them.
But after playing it at the club a few times, you know, trade was so popular. You used to have a lot of A&R guys were down there and listening for music and listening what the new tracks were coming out. Because it had a very European influence, that music at trade. It wasn't just the US scene, it was more the European versions of house music, a lot more uplifting, piano driven. So these tracks were being discovered at the gay clubs or that Soho scene.
Yeah. You
know, because there's a lot of shops you just couldn't buy it. One record shop in particular called Trance, and Craig, who used to be the manager there, became a very good friend of mine. You know, once a month they would drive around Europe, go down to Italy, and go through all the shops and come back with a van. I mean, literally a van stacked full of new tracks, and that was like Capella and Technotronic and Black Box. You know, tracks that became number one.
Yeah,
worldwide came out of, you know, these shops. Or that shop in particular in London anyway.
Back in the early days, like house music, it's not like you could have just walked into a record shop and just took your pick of the best like house tracks there was there, like, because they just didn't really exist. You have to really hunt them out. Like, how are you finding these records?
You say that, there was a lot of shops, man, back in the day. You know, there was you know, music lovers that just had shops and you know, this is the day the imports. You know, there used to be a lot of money for an import, 7-8 quid, 10 quid sometimes back, you know. Yeah. Fucking money I used to spend on that shit. I like look back and think, Christ, every penny. Because if you're, a geeky train spotting record collector, it doesn't matter. You've got to have that.
Yeah.
And everything else is not, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to buy that track. I don't care. I've got to have that. So you were listening to it on the radio, right? I'm going to have to go and track that down, and you just go round West in London, Soho,
So you found
City
it.
Sounds, Bluebird, Black Market, Tracks, Tag, to name. That's just the ones I used to go to, and hunt them down. Stand there with a great big stack of records that high. Yeah, like that. Like
Just hours of just
hours
listening.
Yeah, but it used to pass like that because it's you want you want a mission, you want a find, you want a hunt, archaeological almost. You're digging up the next find and to play in your set.
You said Tag Records. When I spoke to one of the Aussie guys, Phil, who was living in London for a bit, he was telling me I think it was Tag Records that released Cat Decor.
Yeah,
Cat
Decor is Tag Records spelt backwards.
That's it. Yeah. Crazy.
Passion.
Unreal, hey?
What a track.
Well, at what point did you're DJing at Trade? You're probably really well known in London, doing the odd guest spot here and there. But at what point did your gig calendar just start exploding? And did you have to get a manager, or could you handle it yourself?
I'd say it was a slow burner. Trade was my all important. Everything, my whole life existed for that set. So I was thinking about it, records, planning for it, practicing it, just all absorbing. The radio was going on at the same time. We were doing some gigs here and there in different club nights, I used to do a one-off every now and then at the club when we had a spare Saturday, for instance, an early Saturday. We would try and fill it up with different promotions. So I was doing a bit of doing that. Then I was out flying at the weekends for other gigs that we were doing, and then obviously Trade was still happening. So I wouldn't really work on a Saturday night. So I'd try and go to bed early, get up early, get prepared for that set, and go down and finish it, smash it.
Yeah.
Then I met some people from the record industry and a couple of club owners that were down there, and said, "Look, we've got this place in Brighton, or a little club called Club for Life in London on a Tuesday." Or see, back then, mate, there was like a Monday night, a Tuesday night, a Wednesday. It was packed. Heaven on a Monday night called Rage, mate. You'd have 2,000 people in there queuing around the block on a Monday frigging night, regular for that year or two, however long it lasted.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff going on. It just became it was just the boom time, and so I started doing a bit here and doing a bit there. But I was restricted on the Saturday, especially to go, up north, Liverpool, Manchester. It was a lot of stuff happening in Manchester. I said I can't do it. Yeah. I've got Trade at freaking 10 o'clock. I ain't going to get back in time, or I'm not going to drop, So I really dedicated a lot of time and effort to that. And then stuff started to, it started to bounce. And then I got a regular in Brighton at the Zap Club in South England, right on the coast, the famous Pebble Beach. And I dedicated, a residency there as much as Trade and the effort of that. And then I don't know when that moment actually came. I looked at the diary and thought, wow, I remember the time when I had to say to Trade, look, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do the both. I cannot come out 11 till 1 and play all these other places that want, that I want to go and check out. I tried it for a few months, and it was just difficult. Just, because you want to be in the right frame of mind to turn up and play a set. You don't have to turn up pissed or asleep and wake up in some car and you try and shake yourself up and then get on. It will suffer, So something had to go. So reluctantly, I said, look, I'll do once a month or one, and then just got busier and busier, and then a few international things started coming through. trips to Japan and Australia and America. I got tight with a little crew out of LA that were doing big compilations, but all British stuff, you know, spreading the word of the new happening in the UK and bringing it to various cities in America. So then next minute, it was bang, I'm on the road and doing what I do. And
what sort of year would that have been? Like mid 90s?
93.
Oh,
I started
93.
going
Wow.
traveling.
Yeah.
94. And then it just, you know, so I made that Love Rush track that done really well. Got to meet all the, like Jerry from Hooge Tunes and Phil Howes from London Records, FFRR. You know, they were big fans of Trade. So with that influence and what I was hearing, I thought, right, okay, I've got an idea. I've got some ideas. Then Rock the House came, another track that I made for Jerry. I made that for Hooge Tunes because I wanted a record on Hooge.
Yeah.
You know, that's my favorite label.
What a label. Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of their stuff came from Trade.
Yeah.
A lot of tracks they heard, you know, Gonna Touch the Sky, Never Been This High. I used to play that at the end of the night. And Jerry was like, what is that? Signed it.
Wow.
You know, Glam Hell's Party. That got signed. Who signed that? I think that might have been Positiva. All these track Capella, you know. You gotta know how to make me feel. That came out of Trax Records. That went to FFRR. Massive hit for them, you know. So yeah, it was, and them tracks used to get 6-7 months before they crossed over. You know, they got such a nice long avenue of, you know, you've got a real cool club run at it, and then if it became popular, and then a year later it'd be on Top of the Pops, or you'd hear it on Radio 1 and think, yeah, good luck to you. But we had a good 6 months of it being the hottest shit, and we've been there, done it, and moved on. But now it went overground, mainstream.
Yeah,
you know, which is a big difference today. You know, it goes bang, and then it's over before it's even, you know.
Yeah. So Rock the House.
Yeah.
Do you just have a feeling that was going to be a hit?
No, not at all, man. Because I was into my hip hop still. You know, I was still buying loads of music. There was a track that I bought called Homeboys Only that had an a cappella of the rap. The other side, you know, let's turn it out. It's time to turn it. And I had the a cappella girl singing. And I jumped in the studio with what's his name, who was doing a load of stuff for Hooge Tunes, Pete Lazenby. He'd done a great track called Sacred Cycles on Hooge. Fucking brilliant. Amazing track.
Yeah.
He was doing some producing and engineering, so I jumped in the studio with him for the Rock the House. So we met, and we'd done it. I was happy with it. Jerry was like, "Oh, I don't know if it's, you know, if it's right, if it's blah blah." I said, "Look, I'm playing it at the club, man. Watch it. I'm telling you,
it works."
Yeah, he kept dilly dallying, and then my friend Darren Stokes, who became Tintin Out, you know, who had that little big run with. I'm
trying to think. Yeah, I'm trying to think
with.
Well, there was a few. Tintin
anyway,
Out.
He was doing some A&R before he became Tintin Out. He was doing some A&R for various labels, and he was Tag Records had a label called Effective, the little boy with a thumb label, and so they said, "Look, if you're not having it, we'll put it out." So they put it out, and it just went nuts. Yeah.
Can you tell us a story about the film clip? Because the film clip's pretty cool.
Which film clip? Oh, the video.
Rock the House. Yeah.
So now that's when Virgin signed it. Andy Thompson, then Virgin, was looking at the numbers coming in of Rock the House. And it was ticking over and over. But it was still effectively on an independent label. So if you wanted to really push it home and give it its potential, it would then get licensed on to the so-called majors. Andy Thompson had just moved from FFRR under sort of Pete Tong's wing and had his own label under the Virgin Records umbrella. So they signed it. He said, look, it's going to be a hit, man. It's going to go top 10. We're talking about videos. I said, look, we used to go snowboarding every year. And we had a trip planned. I said, look, this is where we're going. Why don't we do? The idea was, do you remember the beginning of the Monkeys? Here we come, walking down. And they were all messing around and coming in and out of the sea. And I said, look, we're going on a ski trip. What? Let's freaking take a camera and a producer and we'll and get some footage and see if that works. And, you know, and save a bit of money, because some of the prices that were coming out with for these videos back then, man, it was like Astro. You had to pay for it. So Seb agreed to it, you know, and all the Alex P, he was there. My brother was there. His mate Mark, little Craig Richards, Enzo from Plastic Fantastic Records. So yeah, I just got a camera to follow us about and muck about for a bit. We hired these two kids as well who were like sponsored snowboarders. So right at the end, people go, was that you doing that jump on that snowboard? I was like, of course it was. It was one of them blokes with my jacket on, like launching himself off this jump. And yeah, so don't tell anyone, but it wasn't actually me.
So you were like good mates with like Seb and Alex P. Like, is that they just been you've been friends with them since like the old days?
Yeah, I trust our paths crossed at some stage, or we were on tour together. I mean, Seb and I came to Australia together.
Yeah.
Back in Christ knows when that was, 90 something. I mean, it was, you know, to be asked to go to a different country just to play some music is such an honor. So
yeah, like I'm there.
We'd be like, Japan, fuck yeah, man. When you know. So it was great, man, to come and then to get to these places, and they knew your shit as well. And it's like, holy crap, man, you know, because it was a very specialist back then. You know, no access. You had to hunt it down through magazines and, you know, import UK stuff or US stuff. So yeah, it was so cool to be asked to come to different countries and do that stuff. And of course, making music helped, because these tracks were doing all right. You know, we used to sell tracks to, you know, the big Aussie outfits. Was it Central Station, I think?
Yeah.
With the big Aussie labels, and you know, if they liked it, they would distribute it. Then you would come out here and tour it, and same with the States. And yeah, so it was internationally. It became quite a busy time.
So you would have been gigging like up and down the country in the UK, plus touring. Like, what was like at the peak of it all? Can you remember like how many gigs you were doing a week?
Oh God, I mean, when the summer came, when Ibiza was in full swing. It used to fly to Ibiza Tuesday, clockwork, let's say, on the Wednesday, fly to Mallorca on the Thursday for BCM, fly back to London for the gallery on the Friday, 2, maybe 3 on the Saturday. Or usually 2 max. I hated doing 3. It was awful.
In the night, 3 gigs in the
yeah, let's say 2. It was on the rare occasion, but some of these places were day raves, you know, early starts, and then Sunday, just sometimes a Sunday as well. Monday off, and then it would start again.
No, you know, and that's you're playing vinyl still.
That's vinyl. Yeah, man, all vinyl.
Hard on your ears and everything, hey?
I don't know, man. It just seemed great and fine. And looking back, I was like, how did I've done a radio show every week on a Thursday. I had to pre-record on a Friday, sorry. So I had to try and pre-record that when I got back. Yeah, my feet didn't touch the ground, man, for a long time.
Did you have much help, like a PA or?
Yeah, you got management and agents and label owners, and
how do you juggle all that?
Good little team. I don't know, mate. I really don't know how it. I mean, I had a good, decent manager. Then we started the label. He used to run that. The club was running when my dad passed away. My brother took it over, so he was running that. We started the Friday, the gallery, which was our regular. That was going great. I was playing around, you know, trying to make remixing. There was an era where I was just remixing everything. You know, I was just the hot sort of sound of that year, and I was just being chucked all sorts of projects to do, and we've got our own studio at the club, and you just keep pushing forward.
Crazy.
What feels right.
Sorry, you spoke about Clockwork. I never went to a Clockwork Orange, but I'd love to go to one like now. Maybe next year I might get over to Ibiza and go. But they, from what I've read in Danny's book and the podcast I've listened to and things I've read online, the Clockwork parties seemed like they were pretty out of control, pretty wild.
They were pretty wild. Them two, Andy and Danny, were pretty wild themselves. Were absolute full-on characters.
Yeah.
And so that's, I just wanted to put on the next best party. I mean, I really did, whatever that cost, and they just went for it.
Yeah.
And they grafted, they worked hard, really worked it. And they were big players on the island for many years, and I don't know, everyone seemed to have their own little, it was Space had their thing, and Pasha had their nights. They were in sort of San Ann in a club called this Paradise, big pyramid looking glass thing. But it was catering. It was very popular with the Brits and a few Dutch and Germans. But it was, the Brits were really going over there in force. They should just put on good parties. Really good.
You'd go and play for them like every week in the
season?
Not
every week, man.
Not
I couldn't do that. Jesus,
yeah.
It was, But when I was there, they used to do the Wednesday. They used to do the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Maybe once a month, once every couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe more than that, because I was doing, I wanted to do Pasha or Amnesia. I didn't want to get too stuck doing, the same ones, because Amnesia is my favourite. That's the club, that place, man.
Yeah, it's incredible in there. Hey, I've been a few times,
and Space as well.
Unreal.
So that's I just wanted to keep the old. I didn't want to get too regular at the same place. While there was still other great, nights going on
to explore,
and clubs that I wanted to get into.
Around the late 90s, early 2000s, it just exploded, the scene in general. Like the Millennium New Year's Eve thing seemed like it was a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah, it was for many. I mean, the late 90s, it just spilled over into the mainstream like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
So every bar, club, pub would have, an Ibiza night or some, awful diluted version just to get on the popularity of it. And that's when it just started to go completely up its own arse. And it probably led to that, the anticlimax of the millennium, where it was charging too much. Everyone, the customers were getting ripped off, and it had a good reset, probably quite rightly as well, Or it was such a big event where people chose to be with their family, and not pay silly money to go. Mind you, a few people got away with it, and a few people didn't. It bit a load of people, and some club, Gatecrasher had it off. They sold out. The God's Kitchen didn't. Clockwork didn't. It's too much going on, and in the end, people just go, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to stay at home, man, and we're going to stay together. I got it. I got it. It was such a big event.
Yeah.
People wanted to spend it with their loved ones.
You would have done a few gigs on that night, though.
Yeah, I've done three.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was in the car at 12 o'clock. I'd done the Don Valley Stadium, went down to Birmingham, done that show, and then went down to London and finished off there. That was just the height of demand, Just they wanted that to be part of it. I lost my dog that night as well.
Oh, your dog died?
No.
Or you lost him?
No, I mean, so we're getting ready. I lived in my little flat. It was on a park, on like a Hampstead Heath, it's called. Getting ready. What about the dog? You got to go for a walk. I had this suit made. And I was already, oh shit, come on. We've got 20 minutes before we leave. And I can't be late. It just cannot happen. So I had to leave enough time to drive up to Sheffield. So I took him, old Parker, man, just took him around the back. I would just let him off the lead, and I had some fucking, I don't know, chicken or something that he would come back. And that was it. He saw a rabbit, bolted, and then there was a firework went off, and I just saw his legs run off into the distance.
Oh no!
I was like, shit. There's no way I could. I remember walking back into the flat, like, where's the dog? I'm like, I don't know. He's gone. Like, what are you mean? So, fuck, we drove. We had to go.
Yeah.
So Nick's mum came over and went hunting for him over this park. I mean, it's massive heath, like acres and acres and acres in central London. We were driving up in the car. I remember just thinking, oh my God, what we're fucked, that's the last we're going to see of him. And it was a real. Then about 10 minutes before we got to the venue, the phone went, got him. Like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, right, open up the booze, let's fucking go. It just didn't seem, we couldn't celebrate.
What sort of dog was it?
He was a Japanese Akita, husky looking thing. Big shoulder, yeah. Husky like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Parker.
Obviously can run. Obviously could run.
Oh, it's a bit of a sort of a little gene, a hunting gene, and the little protective gene. But it was shit scared of fireworks. So when one went off, that was it. He just went bolted. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny when you mentioned Millennium.
Yeah,
that's a thought that comes to the forefront.
Like so through the early 2000s, you were, I think from memory, you were doing maybe it's around 2003. You did a couple of like live mixed compilation CDs from was it Miami? One was definitely Miami.
That was in space. Yeah,
they were unreal live recordings. Just so
I
cool.
loved it, man. I mean, I've done one in LA as well, and one in Toronto. Turning up and going, right, we're going to record this. These are the tracks we've cleared. It's slightly easier to do that because if you were doing a compilation that was quite upfront, these tracks hadn't been signed to a major, and the politics didn't get involved in. No, you can't have that track because it's coming out in 2 months, and you might jeopardize. Or you can have that track, but you've got to take these other 2 tracks as well because we need to push. And so, but recording it live.
Are these
had that extra pressure? These all vinyl.
All vinyl.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The first couple of Ministry ones were live.
Oh really?
Yeah. And then they started to go, right, you've got to come and do it in a studio. Because the numbers they were doing, they had to just make it a bit more perfect.
Yeah.
And I didn't want a compilation flying all over the world with like a couple of beats that started to drift out of time and so and then they started to say, oh, you've got to play this track in there because we've got, and then towards the end of it, it was like, look, you've got 3 or 4 tracks that you can play, but the rest of them have to be this, because then they were doing numbers like a band was, more than a band, a good band, and they were outselling, fucking crazy. Think about it. But at the time, it was like, what, the thirst for a compilation. And I still get it now. Oh mate, I remember buying that first, or that Millennium or the Annual or that live one you done at the club. It's funny, man. You don't realize that these things stay with people and what they mean to a lot of people. We had it on always in the car. It's
that's what I was going to say.
It's
like
great.
One of them CDs was like, that was sort of like the height of my clubbing days and and being pretty crazy. But one of them live CDs was like just go to for the kick-ons, like when the sun's coming up. It was the one that had Into the Dawn on it. It was just so
Into
good.
the Dawn.
Yeah.
What
is it? Arcadia? Into the Dawn club mix.
Into the Dawn.
I could sing it, but I'll sound like an idiot. But it goes epic, like beautiful, beautiful.
I'll name that tune into.
I'll play it for you when we finish.
When we've done it. That rings a bell. I can't think of the track though.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And what's still good? Some of those tracks are still good and they still sound good and they still would work, but they didn't hit the mainstream, let's call it. They still bubbled away. So a lot of those tracks on there are still quite relevant and haven't been overplayed. Do you know what I mean? Some of them that did break, you just like, oh, I hear that again, I'm gonna jump off a bridge, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the annuals were the annuals. You know, they were all the hits sort of the time.
Yeah.
But still, you know, I still get comments about that it just meant a lot to people, you know, a lot to the people, and it captured a time, like a little window of the good times before we had to get a job and marriage and whatever, you know, all the restrictions in life. When you just, I don't know, maybe felt a bit more freedom at the weekend, and that represented something. Yeah.
That was one question I was going to ask you. Like, so through this period, did you get married and have children? And
yeah, no, I had children. Yeah, we had a long-term relationship, and I had a daughter in '99, then a son in 2002.
God, so that's got to make it hard if you're like traveling
that was
unless you're taking them with you.
A couple of times, yeah, took them to Oz when they were really young. Had a big shows over here for Christmas and New Year. I thought, you know, because you'd be missing these occasions. At Christmas, I was like, I can't fucking miss Christmas, but it was such a good lineup of tours here. So I was like, right, well, the only way I can do this, and it took months to sort of figure it out. And I was in America. I flew in from America to New Zealand and met them in Sydney. Yeah, that was, and that was difficult for years. You know, to the point mid 2000s. Remember speaking to my agent in America, and I was like, I'm not sure how long I can do this, mate. You know, this is killing me. I'm not turning up to shows how I should be. I'm missing these. I'm missing them. Yeah. There's a part of me that's not here, and I didn't know it was going to be like this. You know, I thought I could turn it off. I can't. You know, and then when you get that, you know, all the mums and dads will know when they start communicating, the talking, the language, that real connection. You know, having to say goodbye for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, it just got harder and harder. Yeah. And that was tough, man. It was tough. I've had probably 3 times in my career where I've thought, oh, I've got to make a change. You know, I remember standing at Trade after just doing a show and then driving back and you know, when my life was just a bit hectic, and I just thought, I'm actually enjoying this now. You know, this is the only place I ever wanted to be. Now I remember that night I was thinking, I've got to do something, because otherwise I can't do this. You know, I'm not that fire.
Yeah, getting dragged all over the place.
Yeah, it was too much. Saying yes to everything, and the travel. You know, just jumping. And it was, you know, like I said before, it was just such an honor to be asked to do these things. Your health starts to go.
Yeah.
Your mental health starts to tip. You don't realize it at the time. And the people around you don't realize it, to go, wait, calm down, man, because you know, that wasn't a great set, or you're boozing a bit, or you know, you're not looking great. I used to get tonsillitis a lot, end of the summer, regularly, like run down, just
partying and drinking,
just staying up too late, traveling, not sleeping right, partying. A couple of times, and you know, I was in hospital. You know,
shit.
Yeah,
okay.
In Ibiza once, I was in hospital. Worst case of it, you know, it's like that. It's like that tonsillitis when it goes beyond that. It's like a really bad, just a run down infection. You know, it's like, fuck, I've got to sort this out.
It's going too hard.
Take some time off. You know, rekindle the vibe. So yeah, I had that for one time, and then with the kids as well, when they were about 5 or 6, I had that sort of another moment, thinking, fucking hell, can I do this, man? You know, I missed a birthday, or a flight got cancelled, and I missed a play. You know, just in things that are very important to you at that stage. You know.
Yeah.
It's a juggling act, mate. You know, it's a juggling act.
So when did it sort of, like, when did you kind of knock it on the head and slow right down? Would that have been in the late noughties? Or
I had a little moment.
Never really stopped.
I had that Yeah, well, I did. America was so busy for me. I was living there basically in LA for 6 months of the year. There was so much going on, and I put a lot of time in there in the early days and put a lot of groundwork in, and then it was paying off. And I've been asked to do, residencies in Vegas and Boston and San Diego and Vancouver. Just good tours, hectic tours with good promoters. So I just knocked that on the head for a bit. I said, to the agent, I can't. He was like, man, because I was going to live there, I was going to move there. It got, when the UK got a bit stale for me, and it was just the same places, the same, I thought this would be a good time to maybe make a nearly. I was looking at houses over there, but the kid thing and the family, that was the real tough breakaway. So it didn't happen, and then I stopped making music for whatever reason. My dad died in 2003, and then the club just didn't feel right after that. Even though my brother had stepped in, and yeah,
It must have been
something
hard
went
losing your
there.
dad, but then with the club, and it must have been really
Yeah, there
tough
was a little
time.
something went. Not sure exactly what it was, but it didn't feel the same. It felt a bit of a chore, a bit of a job, a bit of an obligation, rather than just what a laugh, what great fun, and
Yeah.
still running a business and looking after a load of people and staff and customers. And yeah, so and then we got through that. Danny took my brother took the reins of the club, and stepped it on even more. And then I suppose mid 2000s, 2007, 8, we knew the club was shutting. Yeah, I backed off on the sort of global touring, and the UK was, I mean, it was, went up and down, but I don't know, the music got very serious and very, very dubby, very techy.
Yeah. Sort of like
Uh,
minimal set
yeah, a lot
era.
of that
And then,
minimal was
yeah.
coming in. I remember thinking, okay, cool. I've had a good run, and there was some other businesses I was involved in. I thought, well, maybe I could back off a bit and do do the right shows and stand up there and enjoy it more,
Yeah.
rather than just it's become just too insane. God, it just, yeah, they all blurred out then, and then yeah, from about 2008, 2010, probably, yeah, backed right off, doing the odd show here and there, still buying music and still, listening to all the music I was being sent. Yeah, I had a bit of a sabbatical.
And then you sort of,
And then they pulled me back in.
yeah, it's like there's like a bit of a revival of that sound now. Like, I mean, with your new, like the sets you're playing now, is it like a mix of new and old, or are they new tunes that sort of sound, it's got that old school sound, or?
Pretty much, yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
So agent rings up, said, look, we're doing Saturday whenever. And I go, yeah, what else can you do? They want a bit of just play some of them, drop in some of them stuff, I used to play some of your productions maybe. And it never sat well with me, because it's about new music.
Yeah.
So I jumped back in the studio and made different versions of them, and more updated versions for my own
Yeah.
sanity. I just can't play that, because that was from then.
Yeah.
Even though it was great, I'll do a new version of it.
Yeah.
So, and then suddenly I had a set that was pretty much unique. You still recognize a vocal or a bass line or a sort of flavor or sound, but it would be just a newer version of it. And then a sort of new generation of talent DJs coming in, a bit more back on the party side, a bit more almost a push against that darky, techie,
Yeah, for sure.
and it just felt along with that rediscovering of that sound. And because it was a freaking good decade, man, that 90s was insane.
Yeah.
It was special. Didn't realize it at the time. I look back at some of those videos and photos, and just the energy. Yeah, and just started doing a bit of DJing back in here, and then a couple of them started these little Facebook groups to see if the Ibiza one, and then there was a Gate Crasher one, and then the Cream one. Suddenly there was this shit.
Mhm.
Thousands of people out there just saying, "No,
Yeah.
when are we going to do this again?"
Yep.
And then back, well, we're 24. So that was what, 10 years ago? Yeah, 2014. It just started.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a market for it.
Yeah. And there is.
Bang. I remember their first party was at a Clockworks party, was in a bar called McQueen's in central London near Shoreditch. 300 venue, maybe, you know, queuing round the block, try and get in. You know, it was all like shit. The demand for this was there, but just we couldn't gauge it. And then, yeah, off it went slowly. It just got, you know.
Yep. So like COVID like slowed a lot of that stuff down, but in a way it was good because there was so many good like live videos on Facebook that come up. Like I was watching yours. I think you were doing them with maybe even with Seb Fontaine sometimes, but the Clockwork guys were doing in someone's loft. They were doing their live shows. It was great.
Well, when that happened, the gallery, our regular Friday was still going, even though it was at the Ministry. When the club shut in 2008, we had moved the brand to the Ministry, so we were still doing a show every Friday, and I was playing at that a lot, and still trying to push that forward, and we had a good team. You know, to get 1,500 people every week on a Friday is so tough, man. You really do need a real good team to do that. And then suddenly COVID comes along. And I remember at first thought, got a weekend off, 2 weekends off, 3 weekends off. Like, I've never had that before, ever. I suddenly realized I have not ever had that amount of time off since I was about 18.
No way.
I never wanted it. Yeah, so I never wanted it, and then it started. It felt weird, and then it felt wrong, and then I was craving. I was like, shit, So we started doing when we realised this shit's going to go on a lot longer than we all thought. So I needed some outlet, and that was the Friday night, the Facebook live session, just to give the gallery people really, a little party and a little thanks for your support, and don't worry, we'll be back as soon as this shit.
Yeah.
What a mad couple of years.
It was crazy, hey. The only negative thing about Facebook was that I think when it was live, it was all right, but then when you went back to watch the replay, they'd mute certain parts. So yeah, annoying.
We were trying to get around it by cutting edits and editing out vocals, just the way the algorithm would work, where it would try and recognize, like a Shazam type.
Yeah.
I still get to this day, because people put the podcast, put that live session up on a video somewhere. I still get sent little messages from like Warner Records is the classic. We've muted your track because I think there's a copyright infringement. And I think and I pressed the link, and it's one of those live sets.
Yeah.
And back then, I mean, pathetic.
Crazy.
I was trying to get this. They would give you like a blue tag or a green tag where you could play, and you'd pay for a license where you could just free range and pay, but trying to get hold of them and to do it, and it was really annoying the whole community to I just want to play some music. Who gives a fuck with it, own it or not? We're stuck indoors here, unlock that crap until we get through this, and it's all about making money and copyright and royalty, and they're not getting the pay. So, fuck you, man. Yeah. Typical. Can't relax the algorithm or turn it down or turn it off. Awful.
Same as YouTube, and that YouTube just takes them down. Or I think with YouTube though, if you've got like a record on a video, the ad revenue just goes to the label or the artist. So
I put stuff out on my own label, and I get messages, are we taking it down because you haven't got the rights? You haven't got the permission from the owner.
It's yours.
Are you kidding me? I am the owner. I own the label. It's my track. So where are you? Why are you telling me that I need permission? What is going on? So you're just, it's almost, you're just going across everyone, presuming you're in the right. You know, that's the thing about these places. You've got to remember these are private businesses, man. They're not public services.
Yeah.
You know, they can fucking do what they want.
Got to fight back.
I get it lifted, but I have to write off to some faceless, email address and say it is my track, it is my label, and I do have permission. Can you please listen and unfreeze? I put my video up of the new track, and it got taken, it got froze.
Are you kidding?
It's like, what? Thanks.
So, what is your new label?
3D Records. It's a sort of it's where Duty Free sort of our first record label, where it finished up the whole transition from vinyl to digital. Couldn't make the switch quick enough. Got caught. Sales dwindled. Staff had to go. Awful time.
Yeah.
To see all that work, So I managed to get, I had to buy all them tracks back off an auction room.
No way.
And my tracks, could you believe my fault really, but you'd never think at the time when you're putting your own tracks on your own label that you should have a bit of paperwork to say, if this label goes tits up, I get all my tracks back.
Well, you just don't think
there was no paper. I was just putting it out and just doing what you do. But it actually got to that point. We got taken, we went under, bankrupt, and then you have to go through the sort of legal process. Anyway, 3D Records. So just really putting out all that stuff that I'd made during COVID and sitting on umpteen tracks, sitting there waiting to be finished. So got some motivation, started finishing them off, and putting them out.
So is that on Spotify and Apple and all over?
Yeah. Fighting the tide of 80,000 tracks coming out every week. But I don't care. I'm gonna keep doing it, putting them out.
Yeah.
I don't care how much I sink into it. That's how I'm gonna do it.
So cool.
There's just people out there that play it, like it, and one of them will catch. One of them will go.
Yeah.
One of them will get that little. Yeah, but
you've got to get them in the right.
I don't care when it happens.
Yeah.
It'd be great if it does, but it does not bother me in the slightest. And it's actually quite nice to have that weight off my shoulders, Oh, what numbers is it doing? How many, what's it doing? I do not give a shit. I think it's an awful platform for young artists.
Yeah.
And now there are some alternatives, and I hope they go and boom, and where you can buy into a track or an artist and you don't just buy a track, you buy into the track, and it supports that artist, because I don't know how it can function otherwise.
Yeah, it seems like,
look at the charts where all there's no the bands, the proper bands, the indie, the people in the back of vans going to the clubs, and the charts, man, have just changed so dramatically, and it's all sort of morphing into that one channel. Your pop idol type stuff. It's great for a certain, market, but where's the fucking, it's all like algorithm music. For me.
Yeah, it seems like the streaming, platforms. It's like it's operating like a criminal. Like no one seems to get the money, except the streaming platform.
So completely. Yeah. So why do it?
Yeah.
I understand the majors have got to do it, but it's created this monster.
Yeah.
We're not going to sign that artist. I don't care how good his music is, because he hasn't got under 1,000 followers. He hasn't got a presence.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, okay. So what have I got to do to get under 1,000 followers? I've got to go out and do, sell my soul. Do silly stuff. Do something. Okay. So now, and then, we'll sign him now. We'll sign that person. Well, because you've got a presence. What have you done to get that presence? And so what you're telling me that's the only good music about that you're willing to invest in? And they probably quite rightly would say, well, yeah, we need a springboard.
Yeah.
We can't just start at zero. So why not? It's a good track.
Yeah. How are you
Give
going to
them that
find good
avenue,
music?
man. You've
Yeah.
got the weight behind you to do it. Yeah, I don't know, my job, I might. So it's a real vicious circle, man. I'm sure it will change, man. I'm
Yeah,
sure
well.
something will go. The music business, if there's anything to go, but it will adapt and sort of reignite some sort of. But that streaming though, man, it's got such a foothold.
Yeah.
And it's the gauge. It's what? How many have you done? What? It's like, who cares? You're not going to make any money out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that Snoop Dogg one where he goes, "Hey man, I got 1 billion streams here." Well, how much is that worth? Like 30 grand. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Billion streams on a new track, and he's like, fucking take it off, man.
Yeah.
Take it off.
I saw that thing where he got up on stage and just said, "Who's getting the money? Like, who's getting the money?"
Not the well. It felt like the major labels just had to bend to it. They go too late to the party. Spotify and all these others got ahead of it. Apple and flexed their muscle. What they should have done is make their own one.
Yeah.
Take your shit. Sony, Warner's, Universal, take it off. Threaten to take it off and do your own one together with the 4 biggest players. And if you want to listen to it, you've got to come on our platform.
Yeah, where the money is shared evenly. Yeah.
Because you can't go to an artist to say, right, here's your deal, but we take 50% of that, and then iTunes will take 50% of that. And you're going, hang on, whoa, and here's your bit. Not sustainable.
No.
If you're an old band that's had the vinyl sales and the CD sales and the DVDs and all that shit from back in the day, it's just another little cherry on the cake that you've had. But for a new artist, look out there and perform or DJ or singer to make a living, not make a rock and roll living, just to make a living.
Yeah.
And how can you be creative when you're fucking sitting in sitting there thinking
about that shit?
Oh man, my mic's fucked, or my my keyboard's gone, my laptop's knackered.
Can't replace it.
What am I going to do? Am I going to step on? Frustrates me, man. It really does sometimes. But they find a way, it will find a way.
Yeah.
And they are adapting, and they are finding a way.
I've been buying quite a bit of vinyl lately off Juno. I mean, I buy it off. There's a couple of local record shops I go to as well. But one thing I've noticed on Juno is that there'll be little white labels pop up, and it'll say like limited copies, or And I think that like some of the newer artists are just releasing it on vinyl, getting them, kind of like back in the old days, they're getting them pressed, putting them on Juno. They're not even on a label. It's just like, got the artist name and
sell 1,000 units of vinyl of a new release. And considering we used to do 50,000 per release, regardless at, 40, 50,000 guaranteed. And you could get in return, let's see, so 1,000.
I'll do the maths.
So you would get probably 2 million streams, maybe 3 million.
Yep.
It's considered pretty successful. You get 3 million streams on every release.
That's heaps.
You're going to do. But all you got to do is sell 1,000 vinyl.
And you've just paid.
And you're in, and it's, you're probably going to get more back because there'll be he'll take a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of tax and a bit of blah, blah, blah at source. But, you start looking at numbers and go, yeah, fucking let's do vinyl.
Yeah, should.
I'm going to do some vinyl. I'm going to put out some of the comps. Just a collection of the tracks that I put out so far. We're up to about 10 releases now, 9 releases. Thought, let's just do an album, a little limited edition, and see where it goes, and that will go straight back into, the next label, the next track, and the next artist. If I can,
Maybe that's the
I'm
way
just
the way
becoming
to
a
do it.
conduit for people to start putting out music again.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like gone full circle. But yeah, vinyl. Who would have thought? Remember, I couldn't give vinyl away.
That was one
Selling my
question I was
deck.
going to ask you. Have you still got some of your records?
Yeah,
Or
I have. I remember getting rid of loads because I used to get sent so much when I had the radio show. So I was getting stuff, bags of records being sent to the radio station at Kiss, sent to the club, sent to me, just piles and piles and piles of records, doubles, trebles, the same one. So yeah, just to get like sell them, give them away, they took up a lot of room, man.
yeah. So
But
cool
I've still got the
cool to
core.
have
I've
them.
still got my faves, my little
Yeah.
ones. I'll take that coming with me in the coffin, taking to the grave with me. Not having those, they're going to be mine. Yeah, and these are the ones that I can pick out and go. I remember buying that. I
Yeah.
remember who I bought it off. It's just these. They're like little memory wake ups. It just it just floods back of where I heard it first and little stories behind it that just jog the memory.
Yeah. Nothing like it. Hey?
And I can see, you speak to someone and go, "Oh, do you remember that track?" And suddenly I
see the label.
I can see the label.
Yeah,
I can see what color the label is. I can't remember the name of that, but yeah, the label was like orange and the black writing had that picture. It obviously seared the memory and meant so much at the time.
Yeah.
And then it'll stay with me. I like that. I was chatting to Trent the other day, the guy that promotes these shows over here. What's that label? We were sitting there for about 10 minutes trying to. We got the colour of the label and we could see the writing on it, but could we remember the artist? Like, no, we both could see the label or the sort of blur of it, the colour and the design. We couldn't remember the name of this freaking track. Yeah.
Man, it's so cool. I'll do the purchase on Juno. It costs me a fortune, but then I'll have the tracking like where it is. And I'm like, it's just like being a kid again, like I'm refreshing the app every day.
Coming in from
the UK. And then when they arrive, I'm like, oh, I get them. And then, the first thing you do is start mixing them. And it's just so fun. Like,
yeah, I do forget what they meant.
Yeah.
The physical.
Yeah.
That brings me back to, I was talking about my dad and these records that he used to bring home and these like double albums and the sleeves and some would have all this information and the lyrics and
you're reading and
it just like they were like sort of books of their age and putting a record listening. I said, what's he talking about there?
Yeah.
What's she on about? And then pretending to play it and just lose yourself, man, in that front room.
Yeah. Oh, it's a shame you're not here for long enough. I could have taken you around mine. You could have mixed. I've got loads of your records. I've got obviously the classics, but I've also got some of the maybe not so well known ones too.
There's quite a few out there that the ones that aren't on. Well, let's say they're not on Spotify. Thank Christ. But they're like someone's put them on YouTube, for instance.
Yeah.
Really sort of rare one, and there's still a few out there that, like I said, didn't get overplayed, overused, but they're still good. They're still wicked tunes.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, we probably should wrap it there, but you got no idea how thankful I am that you sat down and had a chat to me. I could have just sat and listened to you talk for hours and hours, but you got a gig to get ready for.
Yeah, that's right. I've got to get my act together for tonight. I think all the rest of the gang will be coming in soon.
Yeah, cool.
Start, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. It'd be good. I've always had good shows in Oz, man. If it wasn't for the distance, I think I'd be over here so much, or even I'll just plot here for a few months and just, cover. Just always, I've had some just great shows, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great place. It's just so isolated. That's the only negative part of it, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's once you figure that. I mean, it used to be all right to come over and you'd be like, you could start a tour off in, I don't know, Dubai, and head over Malaysia and that, you know, and then slowly work your way to Perth and then come down, you know, and do it that way. But that takes a lot of, you know, prep and figuring out, and
Yeah,
you know, that
heaps of
market's not
planning.
quite,
Yeah,
you know, it's all about the top 50 DJ chart, you know, and I like the fact that there's that market for it here as well, that celebration and a nod to it. Almost felt like you had to give that era 10 years, just that it's done,
yeah,
it's over. Let's wait, give it 10 years off, and then we'll rethink and see if there's anyone who fancies coming out. It's like shit, you know, boom.
yeah.
Do you think in 20 years' time, a DJ today could be doing a sellout tour of Albert Hall, doing a classical version of today's music?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Could it happen? Could be. Who knows? You know,
Maybe
could
someone
Calvin
like,
Harris be doing
yeah.
that in probably?
I was thinking maybe Dead Mouse could do something like that, but they'd have
What,
to
a
be
classical version of his stuff? Maybe.
yeah, have to be a huge superstar.
But you know, I mean, they're not so much now. But you know, there's the Tongies one.
Yeah, yep.
Um,
Ministry,
Hacienda one,
yeah.
Ministry.
Oh, yeah,
I've done a few of the Ministry ones. I mean, fucking great shows, man.
yeah,
And it's just celebrating that music, and it, you know, it's a younger audience as well, mixing perfectly. There's no,
yeah.
it's just all getting on that same vibe and enjoying it.
Well, some of the people that are going have probably got kids that are old enough to come with them now, like they're clubbing as well.
Mine do.
Oh, really?
All their friends, they love it because it's a vibe. Even,
Yeah,
you know, and I don't know, they're not so much open minded. I couldn't think of anything. I mean, my dad used to be at the club, and I'd be DJing that trade, and he'd be standing next to me doing the lights. He had this laser that he fucking poured so much money into this thing, you know, and of its time. I mean, I know lasers now, you just plug them into the wall socket, but back then this shit was technology, and it was
Cutting
early
edge.
technology, and it was,
Yeah,
you know, you had to have a 3-phase supply, which sort of meant you had to have your own like business dedicated supply just for this thing. It was so powerful. I used to light a cigarette off it at the front of it. I mean, it was like, but you know, not many people had them.
yeah,
I mean, this thing was in full effect. Fucking wow. And the music and the right. So we would have someone on that laser who really knew what they were doing, knew the tracks, and I'd be like ready. I'd be pointing, 3, 2, 1,
it's going to drop. Yeah,
drop it,
yeah.
or I said, bring it down, cut it, you know, and have this experience. So our dad would come down there, with on his cigar, and I'd be like, "Oh, Dad, really? Do you have to be here?" You know. And then, so to think to go out raving with him was just like not even on any horizon whatsoever. But to be out doing it with my kids now, and they come out to the odd show, their friends come out and they love it and they get on well with it, and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
No one's going, what are them kids doing there? And they're not going, oh, look at these old lunatics. You know, it's just a vibe that's it crosses over. Yeah.
Unreal. Oh, well, thanks again.
Onwards and upwards.
Paul.
Pleasure.
I can't come to the Brisbane show tonight.
What?
I'll be at the Sunny Coast one.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think you were going to Melbourne, but I haven't seen the Melbourne flyer, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's
only a 2-hour flight.
If it's done, yeah, back to Melbourne, and then it's not a late one, so I'm looking forward to that because there's a good little vibe I'm picking up from the socials about that one on the Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
So the weather's gonna play ball.
Is it an outdoor thing?
Well, it's a sort of beachy thing. I think it's sort of.
It could be on the big. They've got a big deck there. It could be out on the deck. That'd
right.
be good. Yeah.
Fingers crossed, mate. All this lightning and fucking flight landing last night, and oh Christ,
Oh yeah.
When you're seeing the lightning flash around you and on the plane, it does get a bit.
Yeah.
And the planes I've been on, it's like thinking,
no, thanks.
Please, let's just get down nice and easy here.
Yeah. Oh, unreal, man. Thanks heaps. And
mate, pleasure. It's my favourite subject, mate. I can ramble on about this all day long, and it's been it's funny when I do these things and I look back, I think, Christ, what was the years in between? What was I doing from that year? And it's all a bit it doesn't feel like it's that long of a career.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been here I've hardly been away, I don't know why that is, but probably having a lot of fun in between.
Yeah. Living life.
Yeah, through music. I'm happiest I am is up there playing to a crowd, playing some new music or some new productions, or just seeing everyone jump around. It's something
else.
That's what I do.
Great spot to finish. Legend.